Okay, so I'm Beth the Builder and I'm gonna carve some rune stones. So I have all of this. It's like glass that you put, oh my God, in like a fish tank or whatever. But it came in, I have a whole thing of it. Oh my God. They came in some jars. So I'm thinking to carve, I have some of them already marked up, a set of runes. Be kind of cool. Rune stuff is kind of, I don't know, it's just fun, you know? Carve what you want, carve what's fun to you, okay? There are no rules, you can do whatever you want. So today we're gonna test out this dripper system. So I've talked about it a few times of getting some kind of dripper system in place for rock carving. And I had this idea that I have this glass spigot for drinks or whatever. And the tap on it is broken. That doesn't matter for this. So I've put a nail through the tap because there's a hole there already of where the tap would be to like pull it open, the lever or whatever. And then I've tested it. I can wedge it open so then it drips continuously. And this probably holds a couple gallons. And then I have it up on a little pedestal above my rock carving tray. Because obviously you still have to catch all the water because otherwise your workspace would just be full of water. We're gonna test that, see how it goes, and carve these runes. So should be fun, pretty simple, nothing like super crazy. I haven't carved anything like this before, so that'll be interesting. I mean, I think it's just glass, you know, it's just like kind of rough, broken glass for, yeah, like a fish tank or decorative. People put that shit in like a jar on their table. I don't know. People use things for decoration in weird ways sometimes. So I just have these little wooden pieces that I'm gonna wedge to keep it open. My rotary tool is the WEN brand, and then the Dremel flex shaft model number 225, in case you care about that. And then I have my respirator, goggles, ear protection. Got all the things. And we're just gonna test it and see what happens. I don't know. It could be terrible. Maybe carving shit like this is dumb and doesn't make any sense, but we're gonna test it all and I'll let you guys know how it goes. So let's do it. Okay, so I didn't plug my mic in, so you couldn't hear anything that I just recorded and said. So here we are on take 2 of this. How embarrassing. Beth, come on, get it together. Okay, so for mostly just a trial of my little janky dripper system thing, I would say like 10 out of 10. I'm really, really pleased with it. For just having this stupid kind of broken water dispenser, heck yeah. And then making this work by wedging a little thing in it so it drips more or less. And basically you only need like a little bit of a drip. So once, like I still think the pan with the like a towel in here is useful because then your whole thing is wet, but then having something that drip on what you're doing is so useful. So I'm very pleased with this. I mean, I feel like if you're already like a carver and you're interested in that stuff, like coming up with some kind of little system for dripper system is not too far outside of your wheelhouse. So this is my solution. Thought about like maybe just setting up something like some kind of container and then just like poking holes in the bottom of like some kind of plastic setup. That was where my head started to go. Then I was cleaning out my basement with some just miscellaneous shit and I saw this and I was like, wait, I think this will totally do what I want it to. I mean, my like little runes are like pretty cute. So I have a whole container of this shit and some of them, there's not a ton that are this kind of foggy glass, but some of them are like this that are very clear. This is more clear, obviously, than these that I did carve. There weren't a ton of these, but I don't like this. I just don't. So I think what I'll end up doing is maybe putting a little paint inside here to really get the runes to stand out, even though you can, I mean, obviously you can see them, but I think if you really wanted to get them to stand out more, that's what you would kind of need to do. That one's really hard to see. Yeah, I didn't end up carving super deep in them, so maybe when I get into carving some rocks, because I will do my rock pumpkins gourds project, maybe there'd be more dust and stuff like that. I don't know, because this didn't seem super hard to carve or anything. So, although I did break 2 of my bits on it, I don't know what that's about. Maybe they were shitty or I'd used them before. They look new. So I went to a slightly bigger one. And it is a slightly, it's really hard to see. I'll put a picture up. It's a little bit cylindrical, but it is very, very little. There was one that was even smaller than this, I believe. And I broke 2 of them on these little runes. I don't know why. What I ended up doing is, this is something that I've learned just over time, is that going straight down when you're carving onto something is a really good way for this spinning bit to skip off of what you're doing. So what I've found to be pretty useful, and that's why I like the smaller ones because you can get really fine lines, is you use the side of it for certain times. I mean, obviously for certain things you want to like hold it really, really tight and then go straight down, like when I'm doing eyes in like a little creature. But for stuff like this where you just need lines and you want them to be very straight, you want to use the side. So you're coming at it from, you're using the side of the bit, not the point. And that's where you're going to have the most surface area of that diamond coating anyway. But it feels a little counterintuitive because the flex shaft is kind of pen-like, so you kind of want to write with it, you know. But really, you almost want to use the side for certain things. And this gets pretty dang straight lines versus when you're doing this, it really has a tendency to want to like wander or skip or whatever. That's where, you know, you can end up hitting yourself, although I've never even like drawn blood from these hitting me. They're not very coarse. Maybe like 150 grit diamond coating. I actually have some coarser diamond coated bits coming in the mail. I'm pumped. So they're like 60 to 80 grit, which is much coarser than these. I should be able to grind away stone a lot more quickly, which is going to be satisfying. And just a reminder, safety first, I did break 2 of these bits and they ended up just cracking and falling into my water, but I have had it really, really early on when I was using my shittier flex shaft that a bit came out because I had been struggling to tighten it and it like flew across the room and I don't think I ever even found it. So that's where, you know, wearing safety goggles, especially, and for sure the respirator, both of those things are 1 and 2 on my list of safety gear, especially for rock carving. I've also had stones crack. These did want to crack a little bit. I had pieces of it in my tray. So wear your goggles. You don't want that shit in your eyeball. That would just be terrible. And then the respirator as well is really, really useful. Carving glass or rocks and stuff like that, you really don't want to be inhaling any of that dust. The water, of course, is going to keep that to a minimum, but you still just don't want to be inhaling even that like wet, dusty air and water and stuff. You just don't want to mess around with it. So get a good respirator and then get some really, really solid goggles. These cover my whole eye versus my other ones I have are just like little glasses you put on. But either way, safety first, people. Don't be a dummy, okay? Let's just not mess around with it and get a fucking piece of glass or a piece of rock in your eye. Come on. So I know I've done various projects with runes as of late, but I just kind of like that stuff. I think it's fun, and I think you should just carve and make what you think is fun. If you're selling your carvings and stuff like that, obviously there is something to be said for making things that people buy, but I think you should also spend time on just things that you think are fun and you like. I just like the idea of like, you know, with runes, usually, you know, you'd like cast runes, you'd like toss them into a circle or whatever, and the ones that fall within it, I think that's how it works, are fall in groups. And if they're upside down or right side up, it all has meanings. So I like the idea of like little pieces of glass, of them being kind of irregular and stuff. I just like that. I have a set of runes that my sister gave me, and they are more uniform in shape, and they're more like, yeah, little polished rocks that you'd put in like a fish tank or whatever. They're not quite like that, but they're in that category, especially of size and everything. They're very, very similar, and they're polished and everything. They're really cool. I like the idea of having like, yeah, irregular runes. There's just something kind of, I don't know, naturalistic or rustic or very, I don't know. Yeah, like that's what Nordic runes would look like hundreds, thousands of years ago. They wouldn't be all these like perfect little pebbles or whatever. Free stones that I just got, and then testing my dripper system. I think this is for sure gonna work out. I just ended up recycling my water as my tray got full, and that's why it's cloudy now. So yeah, I feel pretty pleased with it. I think if you can carve rocks, you should be able to come up with a pretty simple dripper system, or you can buy like a thing, you know, it's like a reptile dripper type thing or whatever. But if you have like a spigot and some kind of container, I feel like that would work out pretty well. You could probably find this shit at like thrift stores or dollar stores or whatever, and yours wouldn't be broken like mine is. But it was free, so I'm coming up on 2,000 subscribers. We're like closer than ever, which is a big deal to me. I feel really, really like honored. It feels like a milestone, of course, but thank you to all the people who have gotten me that close and have continued to like and watch and subscribe and enjoy my weird, honest DIY projects. I'll put all the things I use in the description below, like what my rotary tool is, my bits, etc. I'll put all that stuff below. If you have questions, you can leave me a comment or you can email me. I have that also in the description. Otherwise, like, you know, check out my Etsy shop where I do put some of my carvings, wood burnings, etc. on there. So you could buy something there, or you can go and look at my Patreon. Maybe that's something you're interested in, becoming a patron for Beth the Builder. That'd be cool. Otherwise, it is very useful to just like and subscribe and check in and leave a comment and engage in my weird projects. So I really appreciate you guys. I will keep having new videos. I don't even need to say it anymore because I'm so reliable. But I will have a new video next week. So I'll see you then, and thanks for watching.